All right, I'm actually going to step off the screen here for 1 second so I can get a really good look. Okay, so that area of rotation is located to the south of Colfax there. And this storm is moving off likely to the northeast around 45 miles per hour. Or actually, it is picking up a little bit. Now it's moving closer to 55 miles per hour. So I'm going to go ahead and put a track on this storm so we can see kind of where it's going. So that rotation is to the south of Colfax, and it's moving to the northeast. I think I'm going to actually have to take this track off and get an updated track speed, because we do have to update those ourselves, but that should take just a second. So again, we're watching that area of rotation located in between Colfax and Boyce, and that's moving off to the northeast about 55 miles per hour. This does cover north and central portions of LaSalle Parish. So about 12 minutes, you can expect this storm to be near Bentley, about 18 minutes near the community of Pollock, 23 minutes for Halcott, about 33 minutes for Eden, and then Gina, about 38 minutes if this storm holds together. As of right now, this warning goes until 4 o'clock, so it does actually cover the entire hour. And again, we could see, if this rotation holds together, that storm move toward Gina. I do want to take a quick look, though, at our correlation coefficient, or kind of our debris tracker, and see if this is really showing anything like it was showing earlier. And I will say there is, Devontae, I don't know, or Abby, if y'all can see this area, just to the south of Colfax, kind of lining up with that area of rotation. Is that something that looks of concern to y'all?
Not too concerning, but I will not let your guard down
Yes.
with getting into your safe place.
Absolutely. So I guess real quick, we'll take this in, switch it back to velocity to kind of get that better view of where that rotation is, and then we'll take things in to the local level, to the street level, to get a better view of what is going on. So again, that area of rotation's just to the east of Louisiana Highway 8, in between Colfax and Boyce. We're going to move that just a little bit more to get a really, really good view of what's going on here. So again, that area of rotation right there where those reds and grays are coming together right over Louisiana Highway 8 between Colfax and Boyce. And as far as the streets that this is near, right now this area of rotation is near the community of Catlin, near Louisiana Highway 492, and near US Highway 71. It is to the east of Rock. And it doesn't look like there are a lot of street names at this level, but I'll go ahead and send it over to Devontae real quick to see if we can get a more zoomed in view here in just a second.
Okay, thank you for that, Jake. Okay, so what we're going to do is zoom in, take a closer look about what Jake just did, but I also want to look at velocity as well. Let's see what we can do here. Zoom in, look closer. And as you can see, there's a lot of rain with this storm, and so it's producing not only heavy downpours, but again, we also still have this tornado warning associated with this storm. And so dry prong is in the path of this storm, and I want to go ahead and put a tracker on this. And it's moving, again, it's moving to the northeast. It's a fast-moving storm. It's moving to the northeast at 55 miles per hour. So you don't have all day to get to your safe place. You want to get there as soon as possible. But right now, we're looking at Dry Prong around 318. We have Colfax around 306. And so that's what we're looking at right now in terms of timing with these storms. And they're moving into LaSalle Parish. And I also want to look at, again, velocity, take a closer look at that so we can see if there's any rotation. And so I know Jake mentioned earlier, not long ago, was there any signs of, I guess, debris being lofted? I am looking at possible maybe some rotation, but it's not really defined or tight rotation with this storm. So it's really hard to tell whether there's any, rotation or where the rotation might be. But as you can see, we do have this tornado warning that is in place, and we have places like Dry Prong is in the path of this storm. So I am going to put another tracker on it. To me, it seems like the rotation is near Pollock, or near Creola, as we can see. And I'm going to explain why. You can see we have that bright shading where we have the red, and we also have the bright blue area. That is a little bit of signs of possible rotation displaced from the initial beginning of this warning. So if you're over in Pollock, you need to be in your safe place right now because we do have that tornado warning that is in place. And so I'm going to go ahead and put another tracker on this. Again, initially starting at Colfax. Okay, start that over. And I know, again, this is, like I said, it's a fast-moving storm. It's moving to the northeast at 55 miles per hour. And so just to reiterate, you need to be in your safe place, lowest interior part of your home, away from windows. So again, let's check here and see if we have any more updates on this. Not seeing any info, but again, I'm going to put a track on this anyways. All right, so we're looking at Baghdad around 3:10, so in 2 minutes. We also have Dry Prong in around 3:18, so in about 10 minutes. And we're looking at White Sulphur Springs around 3:33. And again, these storms are moving towards the northeast at 55 miles per hour. So again, fast moving storm. You want to get into your safe place, lowest interior part of your home, away from windows. Now, Jake, are you guys agreeing with there's possible rotation over near Creola?
Yes, I'm seeing that here. I'm also taking a look at a alternative radar here on my phone. I do see a little bit of rotation near Pollock here. I have it pulled up on the screen. The one place I do question this a little bit is just how far away from the radar it is. It's always good to err on the side of caution, though. This is in the warning. The rotation is there, so we're gonna treat it like it's something important, obviously. But I do still think that there is, while it does appear a little bit weaker, an area of rotation still just to the east of Colfax near Dry Prong. So we're going to take it back up to the north here. It's extremely weak, at least from the Shreveport radar's viewpoint, but we do have those dull reds here near Dry Prong. We do have those greens just off to the southwest. So I do think that there could be some very broad rotation there in that area. Now, we did just get a new update in from the Weather Service, and they're indicating that this storm is 16 miles to the northeast of Boyce, which I think we had that up here just a second ago, actually. It was in this general area. I do know that. I may have to zoom out here in just a second. Oh, there it is, Boyce. So about 16 miles or so to the northeast. So that would kind of put it more in line now with this being the primary area of rotation that we're watching. This one near Sims, near Creola as well. They're saying that area is over Timber Trail. So now I think with this radar scan, this is what we're watching, definitely, as that area that we were watching initially has kind of weakened out. I'm going to turn on our debris tracker here, see if we see anything that really stands out. And this could be a little bit behind. I mean, it is a bit noisy. It's certainly something to watch, but I don't see anything that just really jumps out at me here on the debris tracker. But I do want to go back to that velocity. It may be a little bit harder to get down to the local level, to the street level on this, as it's a very rural community. But there, we have that area of rotation. Looks like a new scan just came in. So let's try to reset the view here and see if we can pick this out a little bit better. So right now, that area of rotation is to the northeast of Timber Trails near Sims, and I'll zoom it in here to see if we can't get some street names to pop up on the screen. So it looks like Roger Drive is pretty close to this area of rotation. Roger Drive to the south of Bentley along US Highway 167. And then again, this area of rotation also near US Highway 165 in LaSalle Parish. This is near the community of Sims, just to the north of Ball, to the northeast of Timber Trails. I do want to remind you real quick, if you can do so safely, if you have those damage reports, I encourage you to send those in to us through Facebook on the photo community. You can also tag us there as well. Now, in this scan, I mean, these scans are updating every few minutes. Now it looks like the prime area of concern is near Roger Drive, near US Highway 167, just south of Creola along Louisiana Highway 1241. That's where now I'm seeing some pretty good rotation with this storm. Let's see if we have a debris tracker update. Nothing that really stands out, but again, just because debris tracker isn't showing anything doesn't mean that we don't potentially have something in progress. So certainly something to watch. I'll see if I can get a different view from the Fort Polk radar. Definitely still kind of watching that general area near Creola, near US Highway 167. But yes, again, that area of rotation now that we're watching is just south of Creola near the intersection of Louisiana Highway 1241 and U.S. Highway 167 in LaSalle Parish. And this storm is continuing to track off to the east or northeast a little bit quicker, about 55 miles per hour now. Devontae, do you have any updates for us?
Not offhand, but I also do want to point out, just because, there's maybe broad rotation, you still want to take heed of the warning, because these storms are packing some gusty winds, which could also in return produce damage. And so with that being said, if you are in the path of this storm, if you're in that warning, you want to be in your safe place, lowest interior part of your home, of course, away from windows. And like Jake mentioned, right now that is mostly in that area near Creola. I do want to go ahead and put velocity right back on there because when we got that latest scan, it showed more of a broad rotation. And we still have that rotation, though, near Creolas, Sims, and Timber Trails. And so even though that is outside, just slightly outside of the polygon of the warning, still just better safe to be in your safe place until, of course, we give you the all clear. And so right here, you can see where we are looking at a little bit of that rotation. Now, another thing to point out is that we are near the edge of the radar beam, and so that can also interfere with trying to see, the possible rotation that is in place. As you can see, we're right near it, but as of now, we still have that ongoing tornado warning, and so we still want you to take heed of that warning. I'm checking now to see if we have any updates from the National Weather Service, and at this moment, we currently don't have any other updates besides that we still have that ongoing warning in place. I'm going to, let's see, switch it to, yeah. Switch to velocity quick. Because right now I'm still seeing something near Creola as well as Ball. But again, because of the nature of the radar, it's really hard to pinpoint that. Jake, do you have any, updates or anything that you're seeing with that area?
So at this time, we don't have any new updates from the Weather Service. As far as our area, we still have that potential for severe storms, but we could potentially see tornado potential going down. That's something we're going to have to monitor very closely, as things like this, at the time scale we're at now, they change every few minutes. So again, something we're going to have to keep an eye on. What I have noticed, though, and Abby pointed this out too, it appears that this storm here and the one shortly behind it are starting to combine together. But on the Fort Johnson radar, the one thing that is a little concerning to me is the structure of this one on reflectivity. It's to the south of Pollock. It's that front storm. And I'm going to zoom in on this so we can get a little bit closer of a view, and I can kind of explain why this one is concerning me a little bit. You may notice this storm is starting to wrap around. You kind of see that hook there, and that sometimes indicates that area of rotation where there could be a possible tornado. Something we're certainly going to watch very, very closely here over the next few minutes. And I'm going to reset this real quick, and we'll take a look at this storm here from several different views, because it's important to kind of see all of the different aspects, see what the Shreveport radar is saying, see what Fort Johnson is saying as well. So we can take a look at the rotation with this storm real quick. From the Fort Johnson radar, things are getting a little noisy once again, and I'm going to see if I can fix that. And it looks like no. So we're going to have to rely on the Shreveport radar to kind of get that area of rotation. Again, still that primary area is near Pollock, in between Pollock and Ball, just a little bit to the west of U.S. Highway 165. And then kind of, it's hard to tell, this might be another area of potential rotation where I was just pointing out that front storm was kind of starting to take that hook shape. I do want to take a look at our debris tracker and see if there's anything that really stands out, and I'm still not seeing anything that really stands out. But again, if you're in this warning, if you're in LaSalle Parish, this warning goes until 4 o'clock. I want you to stay in your tornado shelter until the all clear is given or until that warning is allowed to expire. If you have not gotten there, now is the time to get to that shelter, as we are certainly watching this storm for the possibility of a tornado. And I mean, once again, we're kind of in that environment today where we can see those tornadoes drop at any moment. So it's important to not wait until you get a confirmation it's time to go ahead and move that direction now. I am going to adjust things real quick, see if we can get some street names up on the map. Hopefully, we're in a little bit more of a populated area where we can get those street names. So there's not a lot of roads around, but this area is north of Timber Trails, just to the south of Creola, along Louisiana Highway 1241, and also along US Highway 167. You can see where we have those brighter reds kind of starting to turn pink, and we have the reds. Actually, it looks like we have a new radar scan to take a look at now. And that area of rotation is a little bit broader and now off to the northeast. It's kind of now south of Pollock and south of Ball. And we'll take a quick look from the different radars to see if a lot has changed. But again, those colors are not as bright as I was seeing them just a moment ago. Those brighter colors generally signal that kind of stronger rotation. But now these greens are a lot duller. We still do have some bright pinks to keep an eye on, for sure, but not as tight, thankfully, as we were looking at just a moment ago. Debris tracker not showing a lot that really jumps out. The Fort Polk radar still a little bit on the noisier side, but also kind of highlighting an area of rotation between Pollock and Ball as well. Devontae, do you have any updates?
No updates offhand, but I do want to Jake made a good point about, these storms can, spin up or have, rotation at any moment. And because we do have the atmosphere quite conducive for that, we have ample amount of wind shear that can allow for those storms to rotate, which is why, it's crucial that you stay with or throughout the afternoon. Now, right now, as he mentioned, it's really hard to see the rotation with this storm near between Ball and Pollock. But as you can see, there's still showing some signs of rotation, which is why you want to be in your safe place at this moment. Don't let your guard down quite yet, because we still have that warning in place. And until we can give you the all clear, that's where you need to be at, lowest interior part of your home away from windows, because even though this is radar indicated, it can drop a tornado at any time or become more organized. But right now we're not seeing any, I would say, tight rotation to get that. And usually what we would see to see tight rotation would be the greens and reds coupled together. And right now we're seeing it's quite broad in that aspect. And so right now, not seeing anything over the top, but you still want to be in your safe place just in case. Jake, back to you.
All right, again, for those of you just joining us, we are tracking an active tornado warning. This goes for LaSalle Parish in our viewing area and Grant Parish just to the west. That goes until 4 o'clock this afternoon. This is on track to move toward the city of Gina here in a little bit, so if you're not in that tornado safe place, now is the time to go ahead and get there. As Devontae and I have just been saying, that rotation appears to be weakening. One challenge that we have here in the ArcLemis is we are right in the middle of a radar gap, and LaSalle Parish, really, we have a hard time picking up some of that radar data between all three sites, but we are still picking up on a weak area of rotation, specifically between Pollock and Ball. So I'm going to zoom in here so we can get that closer look once again to that area of rotation that we're watching. Again, the good news is on our end, it appears to have broadened out over the last few minutes. Those greens a lot duller than they were at one point, kind of representing lower winds, one direction of the radar, and then we have these brighter kind of red and pink winds, and those are showing that those winds are a little bit higher, blowing the opposite direction. Again, that area of rotation is just to the east of Pollock, east of Highway 165 in LaSalle Parish. And we're keeping a very, very close eye on this storm. The debris tracker, fortunately, still not showing much that just really stands out. And we don't have or it looks like we may be getting an update from the Weather Service right now. But while we wait on that, I'm going to take a look at things here with velocity from our Fort Polk radar. Maybe still seeing that area of rotation along 165 there. But once again, it does appear, fortunately, to be kind of broadening out. So certainly good news there if that is the case. And the debris tracker from Fort Polk, not seeing anything that stands out a lot. Definitely some areas near that rotation that we're going to watch very closely here over the next few minutes, but nothing that just really jumps out. as far as a tornado on the ground. So this is our latest debris tracker update that just rolled in out of Fort Johnson. And the latest velocity scan, again, still showing kind of the same. I do want to take a look, though, at reflectivity and see if that... okay, so there is this one part of the storm here that is hooking. And Devontae, Abby, I do want y'all's opinion on this as well. I'm going to switch things over to velocity once again, because there is kind of an area that's a bit noisy right here to the southeast of Pollock. And then we do have an area on debris tracker in that same general area that I think shows we might have something in progress right now. I don't know if y'all agree with that. It's kind of noisy, so it is hard to pick out.
Right, it is noisy. Let me take a quick look.
But I have noticed it's beginning to get that hook feature going.
Right, on the reflectivity.
Yes,
and
mainly on the reflectivity.
That's kind of what does concern me a little bit with this storm. So it's something we're going to watch, probably something we'll get an update from the Weather Service on here very shortly. And I do want to also take a look at it here from a different color scheme and just make sure that we're kind of seeing. So the velocity and the debris tracker are a little bit noisy. So it is hard to really for sure say, something may or may not be going on. But this kind of hooking feature on the reflectivity, definitely something we're going to have to watch here in the next few minutes. Devontae, do you have any updates for us?
No updates offhand. Well, I take that back. We do have a little bit of an update, not in particular with this system or this storm, but I guess you're looking at, okay, there we go. I see that they are thinking about trimming the watch for areas northwest of a line from all the way to northeast to Ouachita. But there is not a zero threat northwest of there, but it is reduced and mainly just an outside threat of a severe storm. So in other words, we still have the threat of severe weather this afternoon, but it is lessening in perspective across parts of the region. But our main focus right now is this tornado warning that is currently in place. And like Jake has mentioned not long ago, it's really hard to tell exactly if there's rotation or if it's just noise with the radar. And right now you can see that there's a hook there, but I'm not seeing, let's go back to velocity. So it is showing maybe some strong winds aloft, south and east of Pollock. But again, we're right at the edge of the radar. So it's really hard. It's a lot of noise, but this is what we're talking about, this area right here that we are keeping a close eye on, because that's also the same area that had that little hook. And let me see, try to go back to that. Right there, the same area. So that is something worth keeping an eye on. So with that being said, if you are in that polygon or right on the edge of that polygon, you need to be in your safe place until, again, we give you the all clear. Right now, again, this is not a confirmed tornado. It is radar indicated, which means that there's no confirmation that a tornado is on the ground, but the radar is indicating the potential for maybe some rotation, and that's what we are here trying, keeping tabs on. But like I said, again, it's hard to tell if there's any rotation there, and that's the battle when, between the radars that we have in place right now. So what I'm going to do is go to, let's see, not, okay, so looking at the radar Fort Johnson, as you can see, it's showing a little bit of possible rotation in this tornado warned polygon. And so that is the area. And then we just got a new scan, but it's still showing maybe a little bit of rotation. Do you guys agree with me that there's maybe some rotation right there in the same area we've been watching for a little minute?
Yes, I do, and it is very noisy. But the debris tracker is kind of lining up some darker colors with that area of rotation. So that is, again, we don't have a confirmation that there is a tornado on the ground, but either way, the warning is there for this area. This is a concerning area. The Weather Service kind of confirming that it is still favorable for spinning back up at any moment. So this is something we're going to watch closely. Again, this kind of hooking feature is just to the east of Fishville now. And I'll zoom this in here in just a second, actually, so we can get a little bit better view. But it is southwest of White Sulphur Springs. This is going to be moving near White Sulphur Spring Road, Clear Branch Road, Highway 127 South, near the community of Nebo. And I'm not 100% sure what the name of this lake or bayou is right here. We'll work on getting that here in a second. But if you're near Louisiana Highway 28, Louisiana Highway 460, now is definitely the time to be alert as we are watching this area here. It's not looking good on radar on reflectivity. Our velocity's kind of picking up on maybe something, as well as potentially debris tracker. So I do want you in your tornado safe place if you are not there already. The latest velocity scan still showing kind of that area of rotation. You could see some of these yellows, see some of these reds come together, some of those more dull colors to the north. There's a new velocity scan, actually kind of picking up on maybe a little bit stronger winds. Let's see if we can actually get a reading real quick. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to get a reading there. I'll pick that up in just a second. But yes, again, velocity definitely showing that we do have potentially some rotation there. Debris tracker also kind of showing darker colors, which could be noise, but it also could be potentially debris. That's something that's not a good sign. What's really making me watch this a little bit closer is the fact that this kind of darker area may be exaggerated by the fact we're so far away from the radar, but it does kind of line up with that area of rotation. So once again, that's something that all three of us are kind of watching here pretty closely over the next few minutes. There's that area of rotation just south of White Sulphur Springs Road, west of Highway 127 South to the southwest of Nebo. And these radar scans do update every few minutes. So as I call out some of these road names, that area of rotation is actually probably closer to you than the location that's currently at. So if it has moved closer to Highway 127, it's on track to move toward Louisiana Highway 460 near Lake Road. This is near the Catahoula National Wildlife Refuge as well. And then the warning cuts off at the eastern border of LaSalle Parish, so it misses the community of Walters, which is just behind me here on the screen. So again, we're kind of watching that area of rotation there. No new updates from the Weather Service at this time. And I'm going to pull another view from the Shreveport radar and see if we're kind of seeing the same thing. The rotation is there. It is a bit harder to see. In fact, the Shreveport radar may be slightly further away than the Fort Johnson radar, which explains kind of why we see that. But again, we have some of that weaker rotation to the north, some stronger rotation there to the south. And I'm going to see if the debris tracker from the Shreveport radar really shows much. It does also show an area of darker colors now near the community of Nebo. So this is something, again, we may or may not have a tornado on the ground, but you're in that warning. If you're not in that tornado safe place, now is the time to be there. And if this storm does hold together, it would be on track actually to enter Catahoula Parish, but there is no warning for you at this time as far as I know. And the latest from the Weather Service in Jackson, we do not have a warning there at this time. But one last check here from the Fort Johnson radar. That area of rotation still showing up down here. Shreveport radar had it a little more to the northeast, so it may have updated a little bit sooner, more recently than this one from Fort Johnson. If that's the case, that area of rotation is now over Nebo. It would be moving to the northeast toward the community of Reinhardt. I believe that is in Catahoula Parish. And then the debris tracker actually it hasn't updated yet. It still has that area kind of darker colors a little bit further to the south. Devontae, do you have an update for us?
No updates offhand regarding the ongoing tornado warning, but I do want to point out if you are, near Gina, you need to also be well aware and be in your safe place as well, because we still have this tornado warning, and you are also included in that tornado warning. And so this area is still something to keep close tabs on, because it is showing some form of rotation. But again, like Jake has mentioned, we are, close to the radar, the edge of the radar beam. And so it's really hard to tell exactly, what rotation that we're dealing with over the area. But nonetheless, you need to be in your safe place, lowest interior part of your home anyways, regardless of the fact if there's a, confirmed tornado or not. And right now, I know that it is a radar indicated. We do not have a confirmed tornado on the ground, but you still want to, again, be in your safe place at this time. So I'm going to zoom into some areas, and I'm using Shreveport radar. There we go. All right, and so if you are on, let's say, Oilfield Road, as well as White Sulphur Springs Road, you need to be in your safe place. I believe that is Nebo. That you need to be in your safe place. And so if you are in this polygon, if you're in this warning, you in fact need to be in your safe place. And again, we're just watching this one area of possible rotation. And I'm going to go back to, let's see. And you see it's heavy rain too with this storm. We're not seeing much in terms of that hook. I'm going to switch it to the other. Let's see. You see now looking at velocity, yeah, that looks like form of rotation. I'm gonna throw in the, yeah. So right here, as you can see, we have this blue shading. Are you getting any updates from the National Weather Service regarding this?
Yes, so they're currently watching an area over Gina. I'm not seeing really anything, at least on the Shreveport radar, over Gina. Or this is Fort Johnson, my apologies. There is kind of like this weaker area of rotation here west of Nebo, and then that area we're kind of watching a little closely, a little bit more to the south.
Oh, yeah.
But I will take a look at things from the Shreveport radar, because it does seem like it has been updating for us a little quicker. And from the Shreveport radar, yes, there could be some more broad rotation over Gina. We're kind of, again, in that point where with the radar gap, it's getting hard to pinpoint some of these areas. In fact, I'm going to take a look at all of these real quick. We're going to try to reduce some of the noise here. There certainly could still be that area of rotation that we were watching near Nebo earlier. Want to pull another view from that here momentarily. I believe this is the Shreveport radar, kind of showing maybe some broad rotation near Gainesville. I would have to zoom out a little bit more to kind of get a bigger picture of that. But going back to the Fort Johnson radar, this area to the south still stands out the most to me. I don't know if y'all agree with that or not. This area here near Nebo is the one that really stands out. That area near Little Lake, I believe is the name of that, and that's near the Catahoula Wildlife Refuge.
Yeah, Jake, I will probably have to agree with you on that one, because I'm looking at the Shreveport, the correlation coefficient Shreveport radar, and it is showing where you have the blue dot right here, south and west of Gina. As you see, it just moved off to the east. I'm gonna zoom out some. It's very faint, but you can see that blue dot that is south and east of Gina, right here. And that also aligns with where we go back to velocity. And see, now we are at the point where we are close to that gap. And so it's really hard to tell. It looks like it's just updated with what I showed you not long ago, back off to the east, south of Gina. And so right now we're at the point where it's really hard to see that. I am going to try to switch it over to that's not going to work. Okay, so we're at the point where it's really hard to tell. But I will say, if you are near Gina or in that area, you need to be in your safe place, because you're currently in a tornado warning. And so Nebo, all of those areas, you need to be in your safe place.
Yes, I just asked the National Weather Service in Jackson. They'll be taking over this morning if the storm holds together into Catahoula Parish. They haven't reached a decision as of now as to whether or not that warning is going to be extended. But something they're watching, something we're watching too, to see if this storm is going to move downstream. In fact, a new update from them shows there is a good bit of contamination in some of this data. Again, with us being so far away, it is kind of hard to pinpoint these areas. And it is definitely something that we're all going to have to weigh, especially them as they issue the warnings, in the decision factor as to whether or not they choose to extend this. I believe that is the Fort Johnson velocity. Let's take things over to, well, this is the Shreveport debris tracker. And this kind of darker area here that you see, those blues, does line up kind of with what I'm seeing velocity-wise using, again, a second color scheme just to make sure that, that we're seeing things right here. Let me put things back on velocity from the Shreveport radar and see if that area kind of lines up. It is a little hard to see, but I do see that area lining up. Now, a little bit more to the south of Gina, near Louisiana Highway 460. I'm going to see if I can clean up some of this noise. It is, again, with this being right on the edge of this radar's coverage, the Shreveport radar, we are going to pick up a lot of noise. I do see these reds and greens, though, near each other south of Gina, kind of indicating that we do have at least potentially some broad rotation in this area. I will take things a little bit further to the south. Things, I will say, are not looking as bad as they were earlier on the south side of that storm. And actually, I think a good indication of that will be what Doppler 8 is showing as far as reflectivity. So one thing, I mean, that area of rotation has started to weaken, at least near Little Lake, that area I was talking about near Catahoula Wildlife Refuge. You may notice earlier we were seeing that storm really starting to hook, and that was kind of another factor that made it a little more concerning. We're not seeing as much of a hook in that location now, but we are starting to see more of kind of a hooking shape starting to take place. Is that area to the south of Gina that we're now watching, kind of for that area of possible rotation. So that's to the south of Gina, just to the west of Louisiana Highway 460. And let's see if this lines up with the Shreveport radar. The Shreveport radar isn't as good in this case with this location just because it's a little bit further away, so it's harder to really kind of pinpoint that. But velocity-wise, while it is a bit fuzzy to see, we do see an area on the Shreveport radar of broad rotation to the south of Gina, south of Louisiana Highway 460, southeast of Louisiana Highway 8. And then taking things back to the Fort Johnson radar, that's where we do see kind of that area of rotation just to the south of Gina, now moving, let me zoom in a little bit more so I don't say the incorrect highway here, but this is currently located over, I believe, Highway 127. This would be south of Gina, near Oilfield Road, to the east of Fire Tower Road, northeast of Glen Acres Road. And this velocity scan does appear to have strengthened just a little bit. It's nothing that really stands out, but I did notice that those greens started to brighten up with this scan. So I do want to take a look at debris tracker real quick and see. Now, I would definitely, earlier this was lining up with that kind of hooking arrow and it was a little bit more concerning. Still something we're going to watch, but I do think now there's a better chance that these kind of darker colors are radar noise with us moving a little further away from the radar. But yeah, once again, now that area that was looking like it was trying to spin up on the south side of that storm, looks like now it's kind of near Nebo there to the south of Gina. And that's crossing, that area of rotation, as of the last radar scan, crossing Louisiana Highway 127. So certainly something that we're going to keep an eye on here over the next few minutes. Devontae, do you have an update for us?
No new updates at this time. I think you did a great job assessing that area. As you mentioned, it's really, when you're in that position, it's really hard to tell, what exactly we are dealing with in perspective to, rotation with these storms. And, right now you can't really see much. But I do think that is possibly radar noise, but do not let that, deteriorate, push you away from taking shelter. Still, get in your safe place until we give you the all clear. Now, this is, as we've been showing you, south of Gina, and I believe still moving towards the north and east, and just waiting on, an update from, seems like they are continuing the warning for LaSalle Parish, and that was just in. So it looks like they're going to continue this ongoing tornado warning that is currently in place. I am going to switch back to velocity. And as you can see, this is the area that we've been watching south of Gina. And you can see the green and the orange all coupled together. And so that's why we are, watching real closely to that, the possibility of, some rotation aloft. Again, this is radar indicated, which is what you're seeing here, but it's not confirmed. But still, you want to be in that lowest interior part of your home away from windows. A basement also works, or your bathroom away from windows. Have as many walls in between you, a closet, things of that nature. Cover your body with a blanket or mattress. That will help protect yourself from any flying debris. And again, avoid windows. And even with these winds, they're still packing a punch. And so in damage, I say this all the time, damaging wind gusts can cause as much damage as a tornado. So you still want to, take heed of this warning, regardless of if it is, radar indicated or confirmed. And so this is the area that we are watching. I am going to go back to correlation coefficient, and we're still seeing that same area that Jake, I believe, pointed out right here, still south and east of Gina, that blue dot. And remember that area, and I'm going to also cover it back with velocity. And again, that's also in the same position where the radar cuts off. And so you can't really see much, but you probably can notice the green shading, but we also have green shading back off to the north and east. And so we just have to keep a close eye on this until we have the all clear from, with that storm. Now we do have, outside of that warning, we also have I do want to say a severe thunderstorm. I believe that was issued. Severe thunderstorm warning. It's hard.
Yes, that's going to run for Tensas, Concordia, and Catahoula parishes until 4:45. I do, again, we're watching that area of rotation here in LaSalle Parish, and we're going to stay with you until this warning is allowed to expire and the threat for a tornado is no longer present. One thing I do want to note, though, with this new warning that we have for those parishes that I just named, Tensas, Catahoula, Concordia, that warning goes until 4:45. And the important thing that I do want to note here is while this is a severe thunderstorm warning, this area we are going to have to keep an eye on for this storm to potentially spin back up. For now, though, you're not under that tornado warning. But if you're in these parishes, I want you to definitely keep your guard high as these storms, we've seen them this afternoon. We got off because the threat for a tornado was no longer there. Within 2 minutes, a storm spun back up. That's the kind of setup that we're dealing with today. And even in this last radar scan, I feel like this is starting to hook a little bit more. We'll take a look at that in 1 second. But like I said, even if you're under this severe thunderstorm warning, I want you to definitely stay on guard as these storms do have a history of spinning up throughout the day today. So taking things back to the storm here, to the southeast of Gina, now just to the south of US Highway 84. I want to zoom in on that a little bit closer. There's reflectivity now showing that this area may be trying to hook just a little bit. It's not really defined, but something that we'll definitely have to watch here over the next few radar scans. Velocity still a bit on the noisy side, right here near Blade, down just to the west of Archie. So this is almost out of LaSalle Parish. So the National Weather Service in Shreveport will likely drop this warning soon, one way or another. And even if this does kind of slowly move out, we are kind of approaching that warning in time. But I still do see at least a broad area of rotation here in this area, and it's something that we're going to have to watch here while we're still with you over the next few minutes. Debris tracker in this area, still maybe a little noisy, showing some darker colors, but once again, we're kind of to that point where we're so far away from the radar that this could potentially be noise, but it's also something we're going to have to watch closely, as we could at any moment have a brief tornado spin up this afternoon. One thing I do want to do real quick, though, is take things back to Doppler 8. There's an area here kind of showing like a purple color shading there that usually indicates that we could have some hail in that area. So we're going to use our hail scope here to kind of see what's going on. And it looks like it hasn't updated in a minute. It does look like we may have had some small hail back here just a few moments ago. Showing very small hail, walnut size, I don't even believe is on the official scale. So lower than quarter size, but some small hail, certainly something that is possible to the south of Manifest in Catahoula Parish and north of Blaze there in LaSalle Parish. I will say, good news. That area I was talking about just a moment ago that may have been trying to hook back up doesn't look like it's trying to really do that as much anymore. Which, once again, certainly good news there. Once I readjust this, we'll take a look at the velocity and see how that area of rotation is looking. But, again, potentially some good news there that the threat for the tornado may be going down. But again, please stay in that shelter, in your safe place, until the all clear is given. Now it looks even more broad to me on radar, that kind of broad area of rotation near Blade, in between Blade and Walters. Again, starting to look like it's weakening a bit further, which, once again, certainly good news. And there is still a bit of a dark area there in between the two, but it's certainly not as big or as defined as we saw it here just a few minutes ago. Devontae, do you have an update for us?
No direct update, but yes, we are still in that gap where it's hard. But I don't see any, tight rotation, what we would normally see if we had a tornado, especially on the ground. Again, we still have that tornado warning in place. Also, too, to point out, we are also crossing over towards the east, where we could, switch over to Jackson's radar, which will give us a better idea of what's going on. But right now, this warning is in place for LaSalle Parish, and locations like Gina still in that warning. And so don't let your guard down. We're still stressing to be in your safe place until the warning has been canceled. And right now, we still have it ongoing right here, right near Gina. And then we have, I know also Jake mentioned too about the hail. There's may have been a little bit of hail associated with the storms that are moving through those areas. And so you're not just dealing with the tornado threat, but also the potential for hail and then also those heavy downpours. But that's what we're dealing with right now across LaSalle Parish, that tornado warning that is in place. And so what I am going to do is switch over to, let's see. So looking at velocity, showing, the green dot right here, possible broad or so rotation, but it's not well defined. But at any moment it can, touch down. And so that's why, we exercise this with caution to take shelter and get to the lowest interior part of your home until we give you the all clear. And again, this is right near Gina, but as you can see, this polygon encompasses a good portion of LaSalle Parish, but the main focus is right near Gina at this moment. And also, too, going into Catahoula Parish, those are areas, too, to keep a close eye out on. I know right now there's a severe thunderstorm warning, but we still want to keep an eye out on this, possible rotation here, as places like Harrisonburg, as well as Jonesville and, Clayton far out. And so this is something that we are, again, keeping tabs on this afternoon as these storms continue to fire up across the region. But as of this moment, I don't have any. I'm going to check to see what the National Weather Service in Shreveport put out. And right now I have no more updates provided. I'm going to turn it over to reflectivity just to pinpoint is heavy rainfall. Yes, so with this storm, it's also producing heavy rainfall. You can see the purple shading, which also means that with this storm, there's good chance for a little bit of hail associated with it as well. But right now, we still just have that tornado warning for parts of LaSalle Parish, locations near Gina, and then it's, again, watching for those areas out in Catahoula Parish. Back to you, Jake.
Thank you, Devontae. I will say this. Well, a second ago, things were looking a little bit better. But there was kind of a gap here between Blade and the city of Archie, where there wasn't as much heavy rain. The storm structure really wasn't looking too ominous. I will say I'm going to have to take a look at some of these areas. You may notice some look like they want to try to hook. And that's kind of the trend that we've been seeing throughout the day today, which is why even if this warning is allowed to expire, it's something we've been doing all afternoon. We've really been on top of these storms. As once again, I mean, it only takes one radar scan for things to really kind of flare up. That's just kind of what we're working with today. So as far as rotation goes, again, I'm still seeing a broad area of rotation there between Jonesville and Gina. That's now starting to enter Catahoula Parish, where we no longer have that tornado warning. In fact, we should possibly get the all clear from this one for LaSalle Parish at any moment. But I do also want to take a look at things from the Shreveport perspective, where it's really kind of difficult to see what's going on with all the radar noise. But I can kind of pinpoint that broad area of rotation in the same area that I was talking about between Gina and between Jonesville, just to the east of US Highway 84 here. And taking a look at debris tracker, I don't think we're really going to find anything too concerning. In fact, debris tracker is probably the best it's looked in the last 20, 30 minutes, looking a lot better. There's really nothing here that stands out to me with that area of rotation, which is certainly some good news there. I do want to zoom out a little bit. Actually, we'll take it south of Highway 165. It looks like now there's another storm that's southwest of Fort Johnson, another bit of activity we're going to have to watch throughout the evening. But at least from the Shreveport radar, and let me change it over to the Fort Johnson radar, I should say. Here, where the radar is a little bit closer, it doesn't stand out as much as Shreveport. Shreveport's a little bit lower quality, but it does appear that these storms may start to pose more of a damaging wind threat as opposed to a tornado threat if they'll stop trying to kind of spin up there on the end. As now it is kind of starting to take, it's not very defined. We've seen some very defined lines before. It doesn't have that real defined Boeing shape, but it does look like it may be trying to kind of take that shape here over the next little bit. And again, if that does happen, we would transition, at least with this specific storm, from a tornado threat to kind of a damaging wind threat. I haven't got an update yet from Shreveport. My guess is with us being pretty close to that warning expiring, we may see it actually go until 4, just to kind of make sure that this area doesn't spin up. But again, even if you're under that severe thunderstorm warning now, it is tagged for possible tornadoes. So if you're in these communities, I do want you to be on guard, be ready to go to that tornado shelter, because once again, that area of rotation is very broad now, but it is still there. Those ingredients certainly in place this afternoon where we could see rotation really start to spin up in just the span of a few minutes. So Jonesville, Harrisonburg, and Catahoula parishes, you're under that severe thunderstorm warning. And then I believe we are crossing the border. Yes, we're definitely crossing the border into Concordia here, where Clayton and Faraday are also under that warning. And this does extend a little bit into Tensaw parishes, where the city of Waterproof is under that warning. And then also in Catahoula, Sicily Island in that warning as well. So again, this area of rotation is not super concerning at this time. We will likely see that tornado warning for LaSalle expire as that main area of rotation now is in Catahoula Parish and has really drastically weakened. But I do want to emphasize one more time, if you're in Catahoula, Concordia, Tensaw parishes, stay on guard, because once again, this could cycle up again at any moment, and it's something that the National Weather Service in Jackson is keeping a very close eye on as we continue through this afternoon and this evening as well. I guess I'm going to switch things over one more time to the reflectivity here out of Fort Johnson, so we can kind of see not really any well-defined areas of where the storm is trying to hook, which is certainly some good news. A lot of heavy rain with this storm, pretty much through all of the northern half of Catahoula Parish now. You can see that heavy rain, those reds, those oranges. Again, the severe weather is not fun to deal with, but this rain certainly one of the pros out of it, because we all need that rain around the Arklamis. And it does look like this is not severe, but we'll go ahead and zoom out and take a look at it while we're waiting to get an update on that tornado-warned storm. We do now have a special weather statement for Wynne, Grant, and LaSalle parishes. Again, that's not a severe storm, but it is potentially a stronger storm. It's something we're going to have to kind of watch here over the next little bit. My guess is it's this area right here, or kind of this line of cluster of storms here just to the south of Wynne Parish. These storms will continue to move northeast as we go throughout the day. The only severe part of this storm is a good ways away from our viewing area at this time. It's right along the Sabine River there, just to the southwest of Fort Johnson. So again, we're going to be keeping an eye on these storms as they continue moving northeast. But as of now, it does appear like the tornado threat, at least in the immediate future, is starting to wind down as that area of rotation is now in Catahoula Parish. And it is certainly a lot broader than it was just a minute ago. In fact, now I think really this area of rotation is very, very broad now. It's almost kind of hard to even pick up on radar. I don't know if y'all agree with me on that, but now that area is in between Harrison and Jonesville there along Louisiana Highway 923. So again, we have about 2 more minutes on this tornado warning for LaSalle. We're going to stay with you until that all clear is given. And we're going to stay with you behind the scenes on social media, and we'll have an update for you on our later newscast. Abby will have you covered over on KNOE this evening, and I will have latest updates for you on KQY. But for now, again, it does appear, the good news is at least with this area, it does appear that tornado threat is starting to decrease for now. But again, we're in that environment this afternoon. We'll have to keep a very close eye on things as once again, things can really start to kind of spin up pretty quickly. And then again, as of now, the only other severe storm that we're watching is outside of our viewing area by a good bit. And hopefully that'll give it some time to weaken before it moves to our area. Hopefully we can get the much needed rain out of it, but not so much the severe weather. And as I mentioned, we do now have that significant weather advisory for portions of Wynne, Grant Parish, I believe, as well, and LaSalle. Yes, Grant, LaSalle, and Wynne parishes. That special weather statement goes through 4:30. Again, not a severe storm, but certainly you could get some heavy rain out of it. Winds up to 50 miles per hour. And right now, hail is not a concern with this, but it is something we'll watch. Kind of this cluster here of storms that you see that don't have that severe warning box on them, but they are dropping some heavy rain, and again, potentially some gusty winds. The National Weather Service at Shreveport also keeping an eye on these storms for potential intensification. Again, we do have those ingredients in place.
They just dropped it.
Okay, so that's some good news there. It looks like that warning, the tornado warning for LaSalle Parish has been allowed to expire. So we're going to go ahead and hop off. We'll hop back on if there's an active tornado warning in the Arklamis. But once again, you can stay up to date with the latest weather information on our free KNOE weather app or over on Facebook.